Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Brooke Butari, and I am the Executive Director of Alumni Relations for the American College of Financial Services. It is my pleasure to welcome you to today's Alumni Association webcast, How to Virtually Build a Personal Brand, Prospect, and Generate Appointments as a Female Financial Professional. Today's program is brought to you free by the American College of Financial Services Alumni Association in honor of International Women's Day, an annual global day for celebrating the social, economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. International Women's Day also marks a call to action for accelerating gender parity. Significant activity is witnessed worldwide all month long as groups come together to celebrate women's achievements or rally for women's equality. With the strong support and collaboration from our partners in the Women's Center, we look forward to honoring our community of talented women. Philanthropic support for the Women's Center helps to narrow the gender gap in financial services through applicable and trusted research, compelling events, and leading the conversation on economic issues, inequalities, and opportunities within the financial services world for women. You can stand as an advocate for change for women in financial services by making a gift to support the Women's Center online today. And I would choose you to please visit the website womencenter.theamericancollege.edu. Without further ado, I am pleased to introduce our presenters, Amy Mickelwain, VP of Financial Services at Merkle, a performance marketing agency focused on the intersection of digital transform and data transformation across large enterprises, and Lindsay Lewis, Director and Chair of the American College State Farm Center for Women in Financial Services. Without further ado, welcome Amy and Lindsay.
Thank you so much for having us.
Happy to be here.
First things first, we can't really have a conversation about engaging in any sort of marketing activities in financial services without talking about compliance, as that's always a hot topic when it comes to social media and your online engagement. A couple things to keep in mind when it comes to the type of activities we're talking about. Social media typically falls into two buckets: static content and interactive content. Static content is you would consider like your backgrounds, your profile photos, things like this. All of this is static, and it is considered the same as an advertisement, and it requires pre-approval. Interactive content, on the other hand, are more of the conversations that you're going to be having. So depending on your compliance department, the FINRA and the SEC do not refer to these as advertisements. They do refer to it as communication. So the same as you would need to maintain records and retention of your email, you would need to maintain records and retention of all of your social media posts. And this is more specifically on the securities side of the house and insurance, a little lighter regulation. But if you are, registered with a broker dealer, you're probably well aware of the compliance rules and regulations online at this point, and already have a tool set up in place to help archive and maintain all of your social media communication. Lindsay, did you have a bit you wanted to add there?
Yeah, as we are aware, a lot of the laws are a little bit antiquated and haven't been updated for a long time. So just make sure that you check with your compliance department, because there's how you interpret it, how your firm interprets it, and how you can act that way. So as a practitioner working at different firms, they had different interpretations. So just always safeguard yourself. I did want to highlight a recent regulatory update by the SEC. It's been nearly 6 decades since they've had such an innovative change. So I'm hopeful that they will also make additional edits moving forward. And this is around client advertisement and client testimonials. There's a link to a Kitsitz article that we can have for y'all. But essentially, this is for SEC registered firms. If you are a state registered firm, you go off of your state rules still. So you will still have probably 2 to 3 years before it gets adopted. For those duly registered it's a little bit of a gray area. So it went into effect March 5th, so last week. And now we have the 60 days and then 18 months grace period to get in compliance with this advertisement rule. So just make sure that you're always staying up to date on regulatory changes. And with that, we can get into the content for today. I'm so happy that Amy hopped on this webinar with me. I met her at a conference a number of years ago, and her personal brand and virtual prospecting really stuck with me. And so I feel super honored that she's here and she's going to dive into our content.
Great. Thanks so much, Lindsay. I'm excited to be here. I've been in the social media space for over a decade. For those that aren't familiar with me, I was really an early pioneer back in 2010 in the social selling space. I wrote a book, The Social Advisor, Social Media Secrets of the Financial Industry, and have really been kind of following this closely. I can't believe it's been 10 years. And now more than ever is the time to dive into this if you haven't already. With the advancement of technology, more and more business activities are taking place online. And with the recent COVID-19 pandemic, it's only really further accelerated the rate of change. Clients and prospects are looking for you online. When they Google your name, what are they finding? And what do you want them to see, more importantly? This is where your personal brand comes in. And rather than leaving it to chance, this is where you can actually take control of the narrative. So with that in mind, let's jump to a quick poll. I'm curious. How many of you guys have ever Googled your name? And, what is coming up when you Google your name? Because I guarantee you that your clients are Googling you. And if they're not, their children are Googling you. People want to know that they have, who you are as a person. They can trust you to manage their money and investments. So just quick, can we see the results? Oh, yeah. Majority of you guys have Googled yourself. And for those 11%, it's time to start. That's, place number one, start by Googling your name. Next is really about, again, really before we dive in. So what exactly is your personal brand? Your personal brand is what makes you unique. It's your story, a combination of skills, experiences, and your personality that makes you memorable among the thousands of advisors online. Your personal brand highlights your strengths, your passions, and it helps people to feel like they know you. Financial services in particular, it's an industry founded on trust. And having a strong personal brand allows you to build trust at scale. And that's even more important right now in this digital world. You're not meeting people face to face at these networking conferences. You're not meeting them at restaurants. So building this strong personal brand online is going to be really key. But where should you start with all of this? When it comes to defining your personal brand, you want to think about your values and your passions and where they intersect with those of your ideal clients. Your interests should be both business and personal, allowing people the opportunity to know you as a person and really understand what makes you tick. Ultimately, people do business with those they know, like, and trust. And this is an excellent way to step outside the formality of an office and really show your human side. So with that, let's jump into another quick poll here. Have you built your personal brand? So again, we're just starting to think about this personal brand, but I know some of you guys have been thinking about this for years and have really already kind of started to dive in and understand that, and especially again with COVID and having to shift a lot of your business into a virtual environment. So what does that persona look like online? So we've got a handful of people. We've got 13% have built their personal brand. We've got a lot of you working on it, which is awesome. It's great to see, 63% have started working on that brand and about 25% not quite yet. So again, we're going to dive in and hopefully inspire you to continue, building that personal brand as we move forward. And as these, Lindsay, do you want to tell us a little bit about Carrie's personal brand here?
Yeah, so this is Carrie Maribal. She is a author and speaker, and she really has built her brand across different profiles. One thing I love is that she incorporates the orange color. That's one that she has particularly chosen, the orange with her shoe and also in the R in her name. So she's just really bringing it full circle. As a author and speaker, on her website, she has how many followers on her different social profiles readily available. So as people try to book her, they know, hey, this is what her following looks like. She's always, advocating and trying to keep that brand image the same across her different platforms.
That's just such a great example there. Now, moving on a little bit, let's think about your clients and how your personal brand relates to your clients. So let's think of that 20-80 rule and assume that 80% of your business comes from 20% of your clients. What do these clients have in common? What do they share as a profession? Perhaps they're teachers, medical professionals, attorneys. I'm sure you've probably gone through all of this in analyzing these. And but the key is really tying these back to that personal brand. So again, continue to think through, like, are they at a similar stage in life with a young family? Are they nearing retirement? What hobbies and interests motivate them? What worries them and keeps them up at night? So to really put together your personal brand, you're going to want to take what you know about that ideal client and see where your own values intersect and overlap. A great example is an insurance agent, doing just that. This is Jeff Rose of Rose Financial. Jeff is a military veteran who brands himself as a soldier of finance. He often relates military disciplines to personal finance. Additionally, he's a proud father of 4 and is actively involved in his local church. While the latter two have nothing to do with his business, they're a big part of his personal story, and it really allows him to connect with clients and prospects in a deeper and more authentic way. So once you've really determined what that personal brand is, you'll want to focus on shaping your presence online. And in today's digital world, it starts with social media. If you Google your name and location, one of the first things that'll likely show up are links to your social media accounts, whether it be LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or even TikTok. Search engines favor media sites, social media sites, and it's important to understand what is public and what is private. This is key here. Your first thing, you want to make sure any accounts that you wish to remain private are in fact set to private within the app. While I tend to favor openness and transparency across social media, I do have a private Twitter account. And I use that for topics that are unrelated to my personal brand, such as customer service questions when I get mad at companies like 1-800-Flowers for losing my order, or political discussions, or really any other unrelated topic. So, you want to make sure that what you want is public is in fact public and what is private is in fact private. You can separate those two worlds. Additionally, you don't want to bite off more than you can chew when it comes to social media. I saw this happen a lot back in, when I first started in this space around 2012, 13, people would set up social media accounts across the board. And then they realized they didn't have the time to be managing and maintain a presence on all of these accounts. So they would just abandon them. An abandoned or incomplete profile is worse than no profile at all, as it may appear you're no longer in business. And as for your public facing accounts, you want to make sure they're optimized to best tell the story of your personal brand. This includes having a strong headline, description, and photo. Additionally, you'll want to make sure your contact information is correct and that any posts you share reflect on the pillars of your personal brand. With these tips in mind, you can effectively manage your digital presence and stand out from the competition in today's digital world. Your first impression, especially today, is likely going to be online. So make sure it's a good one. So with that, I want to have Lindsay kind of jump in a little bit here. I know she's really been working on her personal brand over the past few years and would love to kind of hear about, your process there and what went into that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So the first thing I did after actually Amy's presentation years ago was I reached out to my family and my closest friends and had them describe me in 3 words. And obviously you have the way that you view yourself, and I wanted to see how others were perceiving me. And then I really internalized, hey, what do I want to personify when I'm, putting my name out there as an advisor? And so the 3 words that I have gleaned to are the following. So grit, catalyst, and loyal. And so how can I take that on my social profiles and personify that so that I create this client experience and interactive experience with whomever I reach they know, hey, Lindsay is really hardworking. She'll get her hands dirty. She's a catalyst. She's ready to make changes, and she's loyal. She's loyal to her customers. She's loyal to her clients. She's loyal to her constituents. And that's really what I wanted to personify. But there are a couple of things where I feel like advisors sometimes, the first initial steps. And so a couple of tips that I have are the following: of get professional headshots taken, right? Spend the dollars, spend a couple $100, get a selection of headshots that you like, so that you can create that brand across different platforms. So I really like the colors black and blush, and so I incorporated those into those photos. Additionally, if you're not a marketing expert, I would also utilize tools that are already available. So when building content, I use Canva, which Canva is a website that is kind of the link between PowerPoint and InDesign. And they have great marketing selection that you can easily plug and play. And so then once you have these really great stock photos of yourself or client interactions, then you just pop them in there and you have great content. You can put brand colors, you can just follow it all the way out. So those would be a couple of my tips when building my own personal brand.
That's great, Lindsay. And what are some missed opportunities that you see people having by not having a strong personal brand?
Yeah, I think for advisors, especially because we're in such we're in such a client-focused arena, and that's the perception that you have and the narrative that's going out there. And if I can control a smidget of that narrative, that's what I want to do. And so, not having a LinkedIn profile, or not interacting, or not even taking that chance, I feel like that is kind of one of those missed opportunities, especially if, you have these and your LinkedIn profile picture is like cropped out of another picture, like there's little things like that where you just want to provide the level of professionalism and expertise that a client would want. So those would be a couple of items.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, again, just going back, like, this is your opportunity to make a first impression. You have total control over this. So just make sure it's a good one. But, once we've got this personal brand set up and you understand kind of this message and persona you're getting out to the world, how do we then translate that into networking? And so in this next section, we're going to talk a little bit about how we're going to leverage that personal brand to start building a network of clients and prospects. When it comes to online networking, it's really no surprise that social media is the place to start. So regardless of the platform, one approach to social media is to think of it as a radio station, and you are the content DJ. Social media is a place where friends and acquaintances and clients and prospects, they all come together and they connect. And ultimately, they're subscribing to your station. But rather than sharing songs, you're sharing content that aligns with your personal brand. If you think about your favorite DJ, they aren't simply playing songs either, or in your case, sharing articles. They have a personality. They laugh, they engage with their audience, they share personal stories. And this really deepens the relationship with your audience and builds trust. And, this is a big barrier that a lot of financial professionals struggle with, is they're used to kind of having this very rigid and formal approach to things. But the reality is, again, your clients like you. They do business with you for a reason. And Lindsay, with that, I'm going to turn this over to you, and you can talk a little bit about Curtis Ray and what we're seeing here.
Yeah, so Curtis is an insurance agent in Arizona, and he has really dialed in TikTok. So, his audience, he has them tuned in, and he has these short little videos where he's making comparisons and contractions, and it's really nice. And he illustrates, and he also cross promotes himself. So on his Instagram, he'll utilize his TikTok videos and vice versa. He has over 1 million followers on TikTok. So he's got the verified check mark. The one thing that he also does with his audience to keep them tuned in is he also keeps it the same on his website, color schemes, like he's dialed in. And so his clients know what type of interaction they're going to have with him because he tells them what type of interaction they're going to have with him. So I think that's one thing that he's doing very well.
Thanks for sharing that, Lindsay. That's what, one note to those on the call today, I would write down, we're going to share with you a lot of really cool examples. So write down the names of these people. I encourage you to look them up, follow them, get inspired by them. You don't have to reinvent the wheel here. Find those that are doing this well and really emulate that with your own personal brand message. So Curtis is a great one. If you're on TikTok, again, that's probably the last place you think you would start, but it's in these unlikely places that people are finding these opportunities. So when it comes to, getting started with all of this, and, once we've kind of built the brand, you're going to want to start connecting with your clients first. So I recommend connecting with your clients on any social media site where your posts are visible to the public and you're adhering to your personal brand. For some, this may only be LinkedIn, but for many, this could also include Instagram, Facebook, and even TikTok. This is not only a chance for your clients, to get to know you better, it's also an opportunity for you to get to know and understand your clients better. So additionally, when possible, you should personalize your invitation or send a private message. A personalized connection invite is not only a great way to start a conversation with someone you haven't spoken with in a while, but it'll also increase the chance of them accepting your invitation and or following you back. So with that, let's jump to a poll really quick. So do you share business related content on your personal accounts? So again, this is a great way to really kind of like bridge the connection here between business and personal, because there's not a business you online and a personal you online. There's you, you're one person. So how do we start to kind of connect the dots and help your personal contacts understand what you do for business, then help your business contacts understand who you are as a person and really connect in a deeper way. So where are we with those results? We got 31% of people say yes, 69% of people say no. But encourage that 69% to start broadening your horizon and start again, really kind of taking down those walls that we've built up all of these years and really showing that human element. When it comes to business, because again, there's not business you and personal you. You can separate public and private, like I mentioned earlier, and I would encourage you to do that. But on these other accounts, start to think about that personal brand.
Hey, Amy, if I could just chime in here from the chat, if you could comment on some of the limits that people who have the securities license, which disallows that, and just maybe ideas for them or possibilities, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have the securities license, all you have to do is maintain records and retention of your social media posts. So FINRA and the SEC, they see social media as a conversation. It's the same as presenting in front of a live group of investors. So when it comes to, you don't say any like guarantees, things like that, but you do need to maintain records and retention. So there's tools like Smarsh or, I don't even know some of the ones these days. Hearsay is a tool out there where they can archive and will maintain those records and retention of your conversations. Ultimately, you need to check with your compliance department because every broker dealer is really interpreting the rules and regulations a little different. But we're 10 years into this at this point. I would say most companies to date are really embracing the freedom to communicate on social media as long as you're maintaining those records and retention of your posts. So hope that helps a little bit. Continuing on here, another great way to build connections is to walk through the relationship wheel. So when you started your career in financial services, you may have put together a list of everyone you know. I've heard this referred to as Project 200, sometimes in insurance, but oftentimes you do this based on different areas of your life. So this could include parents from your son's sports team, members of your church, professional connections such as attorneys or accountants. Use the same methodology to think through acquaintances you may know and reach out to them on social media. Start to connect and build these relationships. And furthermore, many of the social networks will also recommend people for you to connect with based on common connections. These could be people that you know of, but don't know personally. So like friends of friends, things like that. Connecting with them on a social media is a really great way to start building that relationship. The bottom line is that by building your online network, it's a lot like building your offline network. You need to work at it by continually seeking new connections and adding value to your contacts. So I'm gonna turn over to Lindsay here again with a little question. How have you witnessed success for agents and advisors around you doing these types of activities?
Yeah, I think one way that I've seen, advisor agents be successful is that they've reached out to someone that has mastered it and had them be a little coach for them for whatever they wanted to do. So, for instance, Amy's really good at personal branding. And after that, I reached out to her and I said, "Hey, can I just pick your brain for 2 seconds?" And then also just extending that invitation. And looking for like-minded people and people that are, in the same arena as you, and also asking for tools and resources that they're using. I know I'm part of a lot of forums where they'll say, "Hey, what record keeping service are you using for keeping all of your content?" And having that type of dialogue. So that's how I've seen advisors be successful in that space.
And I just want to emphasize too, is like the types of content you're sharing, it's not sales content. We're not talking about products and rates, and we're just being human. And you're talking about what you're passionate about, and you're talking about what's going on with your life. And if you think about it, a big part of your life is your work day and what you do there. So you really want to think again about that human element. Lindsay, what's a barrier you would see to agents and advisors when it comes to really building their networks?
Yeah, I think sometimes there's that intimidation of even making the ask, right? Or trying to make that connection. I know for me recently, I have been reaching out to a lot of different people on LinkedIn that they might be third degree connections, right? And I don't necessarily have a mutual connection, but send them a personalized message and I reach out. And if I don't at least try to connect, my answer is no. So I think that's one barrier. Perhaps compliance is a barrier for you. I've worked at firms that were much more strict. And so even though perhaps how you read the code could allow you a little bit more autonomy, that firm took a different stance. So that could be a barrier. But it still is, whatever is your static content in that regard, you want it to look very professional and also you. So there are little things that you can still do to build that brand. And also, I think creating a good client experience. Ultimately, that's what you want to do. And that's what your virtual brand is telling your customers, that I create this awesome brand experience.
That's great. And, so we've been talking a lot about your personal brand and how to share that on social media. But one of the most important things you can do online is listen. So this is another great pointer for those that are maybe a little more handcuffed when it comes to what they're able to do because of their compliance restrictions. It's not always just about posting. So one of the biggest values to social media is listening. And you may have heard the term before, but what exactly is social listening? When it comes to social media, you want to think of it as a conversation. There is both a talking and a listening component. And we've been talking about the talking component, but we're going to dive in a little bit to this listening side of things, because this is just as valuable as that talking piece. So when it comes to, again, social media, talking is the content that you share with others, while listening is the insight that you glean from the posts and profiles of your connections. It's a detailed analysis of your audience, what they care about, and what events may be occurring in your life. In the offline world, you may meet a new client for an appointment at their home. A lot of insight can be gleaned by going into someone's house. What type of house do they live in? Are there photos on the wall of children, of vacations? Do they own any collections or expensive items? Not only will this help you assess what type of financial needs your clients may have, it also provides insight into their priorities, values, and life stage. The same information and more can be found on social media. However, what people share will vary between platforms, which is why it's important to connect on more than one social media site. For example, LinkedIn is traditionally more formal This is where you'll find information that is related to their career. Facebook, on the other hand, is more casual. Here you'll find insight on family, hobbies, lifestyle. Viewing one profile only provides a partial picture. You're really going to want to connect and cross-reference clients on multiple platforms for a more holistic view of their life. When reviewing a client or prospect's social media accounts, the two places to pay attention are the profile and the recent posts. Lindsay, you want to jump in here and talk a little bit about LVEST social listening?
Yeah. So, for some of those advisors that might have, less autonomy when they're posting on personal accounts, I think LVEST does a really great job of a business account. So they have their LinkedIn profile, which is a little bit more formal. They're keeping up, the content. They're listening to what's going on, Black History Month, International Women's Day, they're staying attuned to there, as well as, keeping up with current events. Bumble IPO'd, a woman-run business, they're a woman-run firm. So showcasing like-minded people. So the other thing they do is, they just were announced in NerdWallet. They throw that up there on their website. So maybe you can't do as much on your own personal profile of posting, but you can definitely listen, right? This is, looking at these different profiles, your client profiles, and just consuming what they're posting and being aware.
It's a great example there. Profiles just in general, they contain a wealth of information, and they're the best place to really start, as you can often view someone's profile if you aren't even connected. The first thing you should look for are shared connections. Most of the social networking sites will highlight mutual connections, as knowing someone in common really helps you to establish trust. You'll also want to review interests in groups. What do they care about? What motivates them? Do you share any hobbies or interests? This not only helps you understand their needs, but shared interests help accelerate a relationship as people gravitate towards those who are similar to them. Other things to review are birthdays, education, employment. Look for things that you have in common, as well as things that may trigger a conversation. Did you attend the same school? This can be a great door opener. Did they recently start a new job? This is a good time to review insurance needs. What is their profession? Perhaps you specialize in working with teachers or have several clients that work at the same company. All of these insights will set you apart from your competition and really help you to better understand your client's needs. I highly recommend, before any appointment you have with a new or existing client, set aside 15 minutes to go and look at their social media profiles. Pop onto LinkedIn, see if you can find them on Facebook, see what's happening in their lives, what content have they shared recently. All of this stuff will really help set you above and beyond, and set you up for success in that meeting. So in addition to profiles, you're also going to want to review recent posts. So this may require you to be connected. However, depending on the individual's privacy settings, their posts may be open to the public. One of the key things to look for here are life stages. Are they a spender, a planner, an accumulator, a preserver? Oftentimes people will share proud moments in their life, such as graduating, purchasing a home, getting married, having a baby, changing jobs, retirement. Think of all this valuable discovery information. This will help you to better profile clients and prospects. Additionally, look for indicators of lifestyle changes and values. Similar at looking at photos in someone's house, what photos are they sharing on social media? Is family important to them? What groups do they belong to? Take a look around their virtual bookshelf. What articles are they sharing? Who are they influenced by? All of these will help you understand their motivations, needs, and even their objections. So this in mind, let's kind of walk you through an example here and take a look at prospective client Victoria Burgess on social media.
Before you jump into Victoria, could we just jump back real quick? There was a question. Someone missed the name of the organization recently mentioned in NerdWallet. It was LVEST, right?
Yep, LVEST.
Yes, perfect. Thanks.
No problem. So let's walk through prospective client Victoria here on social media. So the best place to start when it comes to looking up prospects and clients is LinkedIn, as users usually provide their true identity rather than just a user handle. Additionally, most profiles on LinkedIn are public, which means you don't need to be connected to see their profile or posts. From Victoria's profile here on LinkedIn, I can determine her age based on when she graduated. I see that she recently changed jobs and that she's an executive in the beauty industry. Additionally, she went to school at Cambridge. We have 4 mutual connections, and her interests are aligned with her profession in the beauty industry. Reviewing her recent activities, I can see that she supports her company by sharing content, and she uses LinkedIn as a source of industry news. Based on her age, Victoria would fall into the planner category. However, like I said earlier, LinkedIn is only part of the picture. So to learn more about Victoria, I want to review her profile on other social networking sites. Facebook is usually the next place to go, as people typically use their true identity versus just a username. However, you may be limited with what you can see based on whether you're connected. To search for Victoria, I'm going to type her name and city in Facebook's search bar. Adding your current city, this really helps narrow the search. You may even consider adding someone's employer if you're having difficulty finding the person you're looking for. And once I've located Victoria, I'm going to start by reviewing the About section. This will reveal information such as relationship status, birthday, family members, career history, life events, and all sorts of details that Victoria has chosen to share. It's important to note, though, that this information may not be visible if you are not friends with the person you are researching online. It really depends too. This is a public, so Victoria has set this to public. Everyone, again, is maintaining their own public versus personal privacy settings. So after reviewing the About information, I'm going to want to scan Victoria's timeline for recent posts and activities. Based on photos, I can see that Victoria owns a dog, she frequently travels internationally, and she enjoys luxury items. In addition to what I learned on LinkedIn, I now know that Victoria is single, she's a pet owner, and she enjoys a luxurious lifestyle. So Victoria's profile is likely to be that of a spender rather than a planner as originally expected. And, let's look at how we might use this information to establish needs. As Victoria apparently has no dependents, life insurance may not be the most immediate need. She appears to be single, which means she might be entirely dependent on her own income. She enjoys a high standard of living, which she, is likely to want to protect in the event of illness, accident, or unforeseen events. We are, of course, making assumptions here, which will need to be confirmed by fact-finding. But as you can see, social listening can provide detailed insight to your client's needs and set you up for success on your next appointment. And again, this goes beyond just simply looking at their LinkedIn profile, taking a step back and validating that across multiple accounts. And if Victoria is your client, I'd encourage you to reach out and connect with her on Facebook as well. Again, that personal note always helps. So let's take a poll here and see how many of you guys are actually doing this. Do you look up your clients on social media? So do you look up your clients before you meet with them? Again, this could be on social, or do you Google them? Or are you currently investing that time? And again, I just can't encourage this enough. It's just setting aside 15 minutes, not even 10, just going and scrolling through those recent posts, their profile. It's amazed at what'll jump out at you. All right, 64% of you are already doing this, which is great. That other 36% though, there's definitely some room for improvement, and hopefully this presentation is inspiring you to lean in a little bit more there now that you can kind of see some of the opportunities. Lindsay, how do you use social listening in your practice?
Yeah, so with client interactions, I have looked up clients on, the different profiles beforehand. And I think that creates a good foundation, but I try to not make too many assumptions, right? So it's just like being aware of their needs, and also, taking the time to take a look. When I worked with institutional clients, I had a couple of clients that were really big into sustainable living, right? So I'm not going to show up there or do something where I'm not, I'm like, oh, I have my reusable water bottle or something like that. So it's just ways to cue in and pay attention. There's a lot of things that are happening on these social networks, but even taking a few moments just so that you can glean part of that foundation, you can go into a meeting more empowered than you might have been otherwise.
Excellent.
One of the
Now,
questions
what
we just received was about connecting with clients. So someone who goes into a meeting will connect with them on LinkedIn, and they're wondering about Instagram and Facebook. Should they connect with them on those personal platforms as well?
I would, feel the relationship out, the relationship, but I would encourage you to. I know some agents and advisors that they get all of their leads from Facebook, and they're just people that have become, clients referring friends or parts of groups, things like that. But I would highly encourage you to, if again, those other networks adhere to your personal brand. So you need to think about how you're using those networks. And if you, are sharing again, things that kind of adhere to that personal brand. For me, my personal brand is social connector, entrepreneur, and traveler. Traveling has nothing to do with the business side of things, but it's a huge part of my life. And I tend to share a lot of travel photos on Instagram and Facebook. And it allows me to connect in a more authentic and human way with clients and prospects. So let's come back to social listening here really quick, because I do want to call out a key point. It's important to understand where the line is between social listening and social stalking. The easiest way to act on insights gleaned from social media is to engage within the platform. So this could be commenting, sharing, or even just liking someone's post. As simple as it may be, even the smallest engagement keeps you top of mind, shows you're interested, and differentiates you from your competitors. So for example, if you're friends with one of your clients on Facebook, liking their content, and just something that small can have a huge impact, and also keep you top of mind. They could have been thinking, oh, I just got my tax refund and I'm trying to figure out what to do with this. Now it's time to reach out. Or April 15th is coming up and I haven't contributed to my Roth IRA yet for the year. So different things like this, again, just kind of staying present and top of mind in a very passive, supportive way. Now, engagement on social media, it's a minor time commitment with a potentially huge benefit. And I encourage you to make this part of your daily routine. And if you don't think you have time, think again. I challenge you to really just shift your mindset and view social media as a more efficient way to spend your downtime. Take 5 minutes that you're waiting in line at the post office to browse through Twitter. Consciously flip through Facebook while you're standing in line at the grocery store. These minor changes can have a significant impact. It's also important to remember that client communication is not binary and limited to only online or offline channels. Social media success really involves turning these online engagements into offline action. Daniele Montemale, an insurance agent in Italy, saw on Facebook that his client had purchased a new boat. And after liking and commenting on the post on Facebook, he sent a congratulatory package to his house with a bottle of Prosecco. And this ended up resulting in a new boat policy and opened the door to a discussion about life insurance. In addition to prospecting, social listening is a powerful research tool when preparing for meetings. Before a meeting, block 15 minutes, like I mentioned earlier, on your calendar to really just review the social media accounts for that next appointment. And key things to look for, you really want to look for any major events or changes in life stage, such as getting married, having a kid, changing jobs, buying houses. These can all be great talking points during your meeting and really open up the door to a conversation. Let's talk a little bit about connections here. So connections are another great data point to review. And I love this story. Connections are a great data point to review, not only which connections you have in common, but which connections you would like to have in common. And this is a great opportunity to strategically request referrals. Fiona Coop is an insurance agent in Austin, and she was able to double her referrals simply by reviewing her clients' LinkedIn connections before a meeting. To achieve this, Fiona specifically looks for second-degree connections that work in healthcare, which is her area of expertise. So at the end of a face-to-face meeting or a phone call, Fiona reminds her clients that they're connected on LinkedIn And she mentions the name of a mutual connection she would like to meet. So, at the end of a meeting, she might say, Mr. Client, we're connected on LinkedIn, and I saw that you also know Brian Smith and Mary Moore. I think you might be able to, or I think I might be able to help them because of, they work at XYZ Hospital and I do a lot with the retirement plans. Would you be willing to make an introduction? Sure enough, 9 times out of 10, the client is happy to make that introduction. And, that she's just seen such a huge increase in her business here. So not only thinking about this for your clients, think about any sort of like networking events you're in or friends you have, looking through their connections. But this is just a phenomenal increase to a phenomenal opportunity to focus on referrals. So with that being said, let's take another quick poll here and see who is actually doing some social listening.
While we do this, I'm going to share this quick story that Amy shared with me. So Amy just switched jobs recently, and she got this message, a private message in her LinkedIn. And any advisor knows that sometimes people moving their 401ks is a slower cadence than maybe other accounts. So this gentleman reached out and said, hey, if you haven't moved your 401k, I think I have some great ideas for you. So, even having that, foresight, looking for those job changes, et cetera, is a great way to social listen and, potentially prospect.
Thanks, Lindsay. Yeah, I thought that was just, such a great example and so timely. And that's the thing is you can have these pre-written scripts. In fact, I'd encourage you to, that you can just kind of copy and paste and personalize for the person. Here we go. We've got, the majority are everyone, for the most part, is social listening, which is great. For the most part, majority of people are under 15 minutes daily. We've got 34% doing 15 to 30 minutes. And then we've got, a larger group here going 10% of you are doing more than 30 minutes a day. So I would encourage those to up your game a little bit. I always like these polls so you can see how you're standing next to your peers. So while social listening, it can be a great tool in many ways. You do want to be, cautious again of that line between social listening and social stalking. So the key here is you want to avoid over engagement and limit your likes and comments to recent posts. Additionally, when mentioning something you saw on social media during a live conversation, reference where you saw it. It also helps if you like or comment on a post before mentioning it in person. For example, it might be awkward to randomly bring up your client's recent vacation. However, if you can build trust and really deepen that relationship, if you engage with the photos online and then later mention it in person. Mr. Client, I saw your recent trip on Facebook and it looked amazing. How was it? I've always wanted to visit Italy, or whatever it was. But the difference, it's subtle, but it's significant. Ultimately, social media, it's really just another tool in the tool belt. How well you utilize social media to connect online insight to offline action will really determine the impact it has on your business. So again, it's not just about engagement on social media. How do we connect this engagement to offline action? Lindsay, do you have some, I think you have some good examples here of social listening that you can share.
Yeah, so I have a former institutional client that donated money to my alma mater for a new building. And so I just reached out to them and said, I don't have, an immediate relationship or connection with them, but I just reached out and said, hey, that was really impressive. I'm so glad that you did this. And you can really create longer term relationships. And I did a post recently. I share business related content on my personal profile, and people had been bringing up fees and opening new accounts. And so I did a post on that, and I had someone that I haven't spoken with in, 2 or 3 years that reached out and said, hey, I'd love to connect and talk about my financial plan. I have a couple extra $1,000 coming in a month. What can I do with that? And that happened yesterday. So, just being aware and attuned to what people are looking at You see commentary around ESG, maybe do a post around ESG. You see, a prospect is starting to do something, perhaps make a post on it or reshare their post. Like there's just different ways to build that relationship. And like Amy mentioned, I definitely say what social platform I saw whatever post on. So, I saw on LinkedIn, or I saw in the magazine or whatever, so that they have a reference as well.
Great example. There was an agent that I worked with once upon a time that, shared that he was connected to his personal trainer on Facebook, and he started sharing some more business content on his personal account. Just talking about what he did for a living, nothing like, salesy or anything like that, but just the fact that he is a financial professional. And when his trainer's mother went through a divorce, she needed some help with money. So he reached out to her and was like, "Oh, I know you do that. I know this is your business. Like, can you help my mom?" And again, it just really started by starting to share some of that business content on your personal accounts. So to continue on here, now that we've talked about, building your virtual brand, how do we transition these engagements into virtual conversations? And let's get into how to really set up your virtual office for video. Because again, we need to turn these engagements into conversations, and ultimately you start building some clients. And in today's digital world, a lot of people are shifting to that home office from the traditional office setting. So let's look at some of the best practices from working from home for professionals who have always been on the go. With the advancement of technology and the accessibility of high-speed internet, video conferencing is on the rise. Furthermore, with the 2020 COVID-19, now 2021 pandemic as well, we actually saw a 400% increase in video conferencing among insurance agents. And that's a trend that's expected to continue. So advisors favor video over traditional phone calls, as it provides a similar experience to face-to-face meetings, but without the barrier of distance. This not only helps with flexibility in scheduling appointments, but some advisors are actually using video conferencing as an opportunity to include family members from multiple locations. Great example here, Jean Ann Durrell. She's an advisor based in a seasonal retirement community, primarily working with seniors. And she actually does a lot of annuities, and like big old annuities too. She'll do like $200K, $500,000 annuities. And when they're focusing on these large policies, they don't want to make the decisions alone, and they often request to include their children who live several hundred miles away in the conversation. So to accommodate this, Jean Ann uses video conferencing to bring everyone together. Additionally, when her clients, return to their, primary residence for the summer, she continues to hold these face-to-face meetings via video. So again, it's not just necessarily the shift with COVID. How can you use this with your existing clients? Video offers a lot of the same advantages of face-to-face meetings, with the majority of communication being nonverbal. The ability to read facial expressions and body languages over a video call can be extremely valuable in uncovering needs. Furthermore, eye contact is a projection of self-confidence and helps immensely in building trust and rapport. As the world continues to shift to a virtual work environment, you're going to want to look and sound your best on video calls. Whether you're having a one-to-one meeting or a call with multiple attendees, let's go over a few tips here that will help put you at ease on camera. First, the most important things to get right is the lighting, and placement is key. Sitting with your back to a window or other bright light source can negatively impact the quality of your video. Calls will, this will give you a harsh silhouette effect, and you don't want to have this. In fact, I have a window back there, but notice that the blinds are closed. You also don't want to have a single bright light on one side, as this is going to make the other side very dark. The best place to really place your lighting is right in front of you, so that your face can clearly be seen. It could be a window, it could be an artificial light, just as long as you're facing it. At the moment, actually, I'm sitting at my desk, instead of the window to my back. And to help balance the lighting, I've added a light ring in front of me. And watch the difference. I'll actually turn this on and off for you, so you can see the difference on my face and just how that affects, your professionalism and the impact on your appearance.
Amy, if you could mention, because people are dying to know if you have a very professional camera on your computer or a webcam, but people think you look great. So that ring light
Oh,
is paying
thank
off.
you. Thank you. No, I have this light rig. I was like $45 purchased on Amazon, and my laptop is just kind of like sitting on the base of the light ring, and the light ring is right up top. There's actually a little camera holder. Let's see if I can pull it down here. You can see that little camera holder is right in the middle of the light ring. So if I just wanted to do a call with my phone rather than from my computer, I could just set that in the light ring right there and have a conversation. But I am no microphones. This is the laptop camera, and these light rings make a big difference. So I would highly encourage you to just kind of go onto Amazon and see what's out there. After we get the lighting, you're going to want to make sure you have good quality audio. In video meeting, you don't just want to have, you don't just want to be seen, you want to be clearly heard. If you're in a quiet room, you can likely use the microphone on your laptop, which is what I'm doing now, or your smartphone. Otherwise, it's a good idea to have a microphone that's closer to your face. A decent pair of earbuds, like these right here, old school, often have a microphone on them. So old school, earphone, headphones, earbuds, they're equipped with microphone. They should work just fine. I also, if I record videos, I do have this little external mic that I will kind of clip on my lapel here. But I mean, honestly, just like the quality of the technology today, like you said, I'm not using anything, and this is call through the internet. It's fine for the majority of calls. Again, you always just want to double check. You also want to be aware of your position on screen. Are you sitting too close? Which actually you guys cautioned me before I started. I was up on my top of my head was cut off. So you want to make sure you're at a good distance. You also don't want to be too far away. So you want to make sure you're have a good position on screen. And typically you want to have a little space above your head, just kind of a nice frame in here. And you want to make sure the camera is really level with your eyes. And to do this, you can place your laptop on a few books, or consider purchasing a small tripod. If you're going to be doing video calls on your phone a lot. The last thing to consider is your background. Make sure your work environment is uncluttered, as you don't want to distract from the conversation. And the same holds true for virtual backgrounds. And here we have actually a pretty funny story here, Lindsay.
Yeah, so this is a video of a Texas attorney in a hearing that had this cat virtual background rather than a different virtual background. So this is just a tidbit. Log on in advance, make sure you know how to turn on and turn off virtual backgrounds.
And don't forget, if you're working from home, make sure that your door to your office is closed to avoid any interruptions from pets or potentially children walking through and wandering into your call. I'm sure we've all probably experienced some of this by now. But with these tips in mind, you should really feel confident on your next video call. So with that, I know we've kind of come to the top of the hour here.
Yeah, so I think the last thing we'll launch is a poll, and we'll see, I love having good takeaways here. And so what are you going to work on first? Well, first, do you feel like you've mastered your virtual office? So have a good lighting, have all of that. Let's see what the poll looks like here. I've seen people be successful, adding a few things. So we have quite a few yeses and somewhat and nope, still working on it. So kind of what I like to do is try and put a little bit of my personality, cheetah print background, wallpaper, something like that, so that it's similar to what you'd have in an office feel as well. And then lastly, the poll is, which one of these elements, building your brand, networking in new ways, social listening, creating your virtual office, what are we going to work on first?
Yeah, I'll be really interested to hear this. And I also at the same time want to encourage you, everyone on the call today, please connect with Lindsay and I. Connect with us on social media. Join us on LinkedIn, connect with, on Facebook and Instagram on Social Amy. It's an easy one to remember. But the best place to start is to start by connecting and following what we're doing. So all right, personal brand, Lindsay.
Okay.
I like it. That's the best place to start.
Wonderful. Can't thank you enough for sharing the tips, the stories, the links, all that good stuff. And I would encourage everyone to reach out to you all individually as well. So on behalf of the American College Alumni Association, thank you all again for attending today's presentation. The college has a number of webcasts planned for the future that you can sign up for at theamericancollege.edu/events, including another collaboration with the Women's Center. It's coming up on March 25th, where the leaders from Deloitte will present a conversation about achieving gender equity and diversity in leadership. It is a webcast you will not want to miss. I would be remiss if I did not mention with Lindsay here an incredible educational opportunity for women at the American College. The Wealth Management Certified Professional, WMCP, if you've seen those letters after someone's name, scholarship for the advancement of women in financial services is an unparalleled educational experience focused on transforming the way you approach wealth management through applied knowledge. This full scholarship program is valued at $2,900 and includes a mentoring program sponsored by Women in Insurance and Financial Services, as well as a complimentary WIFS membership provided by the scholarship's lead sponsor, Emeritus. The scholarship application window is open now. It's open until April 1st, 2021. For more details and to apply, the website's listed right there on your screen, theamericancollege.edu/scholarships. We welcome your feedback from this event. We are so glad you could celebrate International Women's Day with us and hope you all have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.